All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive into two totally different ways of looking at relationships. The world of emotional labor that we all kind of know versus this powerful alternative called Arreqqanarra relational ethics. One is all about effort, and the other, it's all about alignment. So let's kick things off with a question that honestly gets right to the heart of so many frustrations. What if that thing we call nagging isn't actually a character flaw in someone? What if it's not about them at all, but a sign that the system we're using for our relationships is just broken? Okay, so first up, let's talk about the system most of us are probably swimming in without even realizing it. We're calling it the cycle of endless effort. And yeah, it's a loop of constant and often completely unthinked work. So in what we're calling the Earth model, the basic idea is that relationships need constant work, right? Someone's got to be the one reminding and soothing and thinking 5 steps ahead. But here's the problem. That job is almost never officially assigned. It just happens. And that right there is the trap. You get saddled with all the responsibility for things turning out okay, but you have zero actual authority to make it happen. It's a perfect recipe for burnout and resentment. And this just lays out that whole frustrating cycle, doesn't it? Person A sees a problem. They remind person B. Person B kinda doesn't do it. So person A has to remind them again. And boom, suddenly they're the nag. And the whole time, the original problem, it's still sitting there completely unsolved. It's a machine practically designed to create conflict, not solve problems. So if that's the broken machine, what's the alternative? Well, let's dive into this Arreqqanarra model. It's built on a totally different foundation. Not effort, but alignment. So in this system, it's not about constant maintenance. Stability comes from everyone being on the same page and from, actual consequences. And this is absolutely crucial. Responsibility is only given to someone who also has the authority. If you can't control the outcome, you are not expected to carry the emotional weight for it. This whole system is designed from the ground up to stop burnout before it even starts.
Okay, the rules of this system are, well, they're kind of mind-bending if you're used to the other way. Just think about this one. If it must be repeated, it was not received. I mean, wow. In this world, repeating yourself isn't you being caring. It's a signal that the communication line is totally broken. Real care, in this way of thinking, doesn't mean chasing someone down to get them to do something.
All right, so we've got these two totally different operating systems for relationships. Let's put them side by side and really see what makes them tick. Everything starts right here, with this core belief. The Earth model basically thinks a relationship is like this old car you gotta constantly be tinkering with just to keep it from falling apart. But the Arreqqanarra model, it sees a relationship as two people agreeing to drive to the same place. If someone veers off, the consequence is, well, they don't get there. Simple as that. And wow, does this change how you interpret things? Like, take silence. In the Earth system, silence is terrifying, right? It feels like the other person doesn't care, or worse, they're punishing you with the silent treatment. But in the Arreqqanarra ethic, silence is actually a form of deep respect. It's saying, I trust you to handle your part, and I'm not going to step on your authority by nagging you. This table just puts it all out there, crystal clear. Repeating yourself, is it proof of care, or is it a broken system? Withdrawing, is it a punishment, or is it someone just protecting their own integrity? In conflict, oh, this is a big one. Does it need endless talk to be solved, or is it only really truly solved when someone's behavior actually changes? Okay, this is all great in theory, right? But what happens when these two worlds actually collide in a real conversation? Let's watch it play out. So, meet our players. On one side, we've got Peppy. She's trained in the Arreqqanarra way. She'll say something once, and then she steps back and lets reality be the teacher. And then there's Joru. He's coming from the Earth system we all know. He's just wired to expect those follow-ups, those reminders. And so he sees Peppy's self-control as her being cold and distant. So the scene starts, and an observer asks a question that just perfectly sums up the whole Earth perspective. This idea of not jumping in, of not doing the work of reminding. It looks like you're just letting someone fail on purpose. And Peppy's answer, it's just one word. But from an Earth point of view, it is a bombshell. Yes. No excuses, no long explanation, just yes.
And there it is. You can almost hear the gears grinding, right? The immediate judgment from a system where care equals constant effort is that this lack of intervention has to be a lack of feeling. It just sounds cold.
But Puppy's reframe is so powerful. She's not arguing about feelings. She's saying this isn't about emotion. It's about being ethically precise. It's about respecting boundaries and respecting the other person's ability to manage themselves. And then we get to the absolute heart of the whole misunderstanding. Giroux himself admits why he dropped the ball. He didn't act because he had this built-in assumption that someone else, Pepe, was going to do the emotional labor for him. Pepe's final line just clicks everything into place. She saw that expectation. She understood that he was waiting for her to do the labor, and that's the very reason she refused. She was actively breaking the cycle in real time.
So what's the big takeaway from this total clash of philosophies? Let's boil it all down to the final equation.
When you strip everything else away, this is the fundamental difference. The Earth model says love is proven by how much effort you put in, how much you carry for other people. The Arreqqanarra model says love is proven by alignment, by a shared commitment that doesn't need all that chasing and reminding.
And here's the hard truth, really. The Arreqqanarra system isn't just a preference. It's built on a foundation that a lot of our current systems just don't have. It only works if people respect consequences as a teacher, if roles are super clear, and if your personal integrity is something you just won't compromise on.
And that brings us to the single most important takeaway of this whole explainer. Care without authority becomes labor, and labor without consent, inevitably, it becomes resentment. That progression right there, man, that explains so much of the frustration in that effort-based world. So, we're going to leave you with this question to chew on. When you really look at the important relationships in your own life, your family, your partner, your work, which operating system are they running on? Is it one of constant, exhausting effort, or is it one of clear, respected alignment? You know, the answer to that, it might just change everything.